Oh, okay. So today we are going to continue the urinary system, and this is the part 3. So I expect that we can finish this one uh, today. Um, so earlier we talked about we basically just follow the tubule, right? From the renal corpuscle to the proximal to the loop of Henle. And now we are going to the next one, which is the distal portion and the collecting tubule and the collecting ducts. All right, so that is give you a visual idea what's going on here. That is this region, right? Because earlier we talked about, sorry, not this one, this one. We talked about the renal corpuscle filtration, and here is proximal. The major theme is the reabsorption. Then loop of Henle. Loop of Henle is unique in the way that it has a sharp turn go into the medulla, where we have the high osmolarity. So water, when it's permeable to water, water very quickly get reabsorbed back to our body. And so that's and also that we learned that this tubule, this loop Henle, the descending limb is permeable to water, but not the ascending limb. So here, basically, the tubule will reach to the concentration almost equivalent to the inner medulla, which is about like 1200 milliosmol. And then from here on, the tubule is not permeable to water. And so this high concentration urine will go through the process that only the ion get reabsorbed, but not the water. Water remain in the tubule, and the solutes got reabsorbed, so the urine become diluted. And this is also called the diluting segment of the nephron. Okay, so that's the loop of Henle. And then following that, we are going to see something quite unique. We will finish today. We will talk about the distal and the collecting tubule and the collecting ducts. Collecting tubule is the one that starts collecting. Collecting ducts is that we have several collecting tubules coming all together to this collecting ducts. All right, so right after finishing the loop of Henle, the first thing that we will see is this juncture that while the urine has experienced something quite unique that go all the way from the entrance, the glomerular capillary, the Bowman space, urine thought that, okay, I'm out, I'm far away, but in the end, they see that what? Is the entrance area just right there? Yeah, so this is very unique region that the urine experience a lot, and even though that is still in the tubule, they are getting very close to the glomerular capillary. And this is a region that we call it macula densa. What's unique in this region is that this urine already been reabsorbed, been processed a lot, especially the sodium. A lot of sodium got reabsorbed. Remember, we have the glomerular tubular balance, that the reabsorption of the sodium is about 2/3 of the filtered sodium. So a lot of sodium water got reabsorbed. Now they are coming back here. When they coming back here, they are very important. Here is very much like our checkpoint that we want to evaluate. After this halfway through of this tubule, how are we doing? How is the semi-product of the urine? If this is okay, then we let it go. If it's not okay, maybe this process need to be adjusted a little bit. Okay, so this is very much like a checkpoint here. What we check specifically is the sodium level. So if the urine goes through this pathway and here coming back here, if these cells experience a low sodium, okay, then it will trigger the nephron to cause a stronger filtration, because if the filter amount is low, then the sodium here is low. If the filter amount is high, then the sodium here is high. So we use the sodium amount to determine whether the GFR is good enough. So so that's what we do. Here we have the detection of the sodium. If the sodium is low, then macular densa will trigger the renin-angiotensin II aldosterone system, or AAS. We talk about that. We will see it again, and that will basically will cause, here is the just macular densa, and the low sodium will very quickly tell these juxtaglomerular cells to release renin and trigger the RAAS. The RAAS, the consequence is increased blood pressure, because angiotensin II is angiotensin, increase the vessel tension, increase the TPR. Angiotensin II can also indirectly increase CO. CO times TPR is BP. So here, RAAS basically increase blood pressure. When it increased blood pressure, it increased filtration pressure here. Blood pressure is increased, filtration pressure is increased, then the GFR is increased. So that is this unique portion, this macular densa. So basically, I kind of go over the entire story. Let's look into it step by step. So low sodium will be detected by the macular densa, this region, this juncture, macular densa. It will cause the juxtaglomerular cells in the they are the endothelium cells of the artery here, efferent and afferent, and then that will release renin, and following that is the renin-angiotensin pathway, and that increase blood pressure, increase GFR. Right. So this is the pathway. We see this diagram before. The idea is that this is very powerful pathway. The major effects is the blood pressure. They are the major effects of the cardiovascular system. And that is a very typical example of different organs integrate with each other, that renal system, urinary system is not just producing urine. They are adjusting fluid. By doing so, they also need to work together with the other organ, the cardiovascular system. That's also an important organ to regulate the body fluid. All right, so we see this before. The first time we saw it was with the cardiovascular system. And so that's the famous RAAS, renin-angiotensin either aldosterone or ADH pathway. And we learned that kidney release renin can convert the angiotensinogen is produced from the liver to angiotensin 1. Then angiotensin 1 will be converted when angiotensin 1 in the blood, when it circulates through the pulmonary circulation. There is enzyme called ACE, angiotensin conversion enzyme, to convert angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. And we also learned that the ACEI, the inhibitor, can inhibit it to produce angiotensin 2, and that is a common drug to treat the hypertension. And the angiotensin 2 have effects to cause vasoconstriction. Indirectly, it tells the brain in the pituitary glands to release ADH. It will work on the kidney. It will tell the adrenal cortex to release aldosterone. It will also work on the kidney, and this will cause the water reabsorption and the sodium reabsorption respectively, increase the blood volume and the cardiac output. So CO, TPR, we have increased blood pressure. So that is this pathway. When we first talk about this pathway, we focus on the the mechanism that can trigger this pathway, and we focus on the mechanism that is pressure related, because the time we talk about it is in the cardiovascular system. So we say that lower pressure can be detected by the kidney, and to trigger this pathway. Another one is the increased sympathetic. So if the person is in the fight or flight mode, that sympathetic get excited, and that can trigger the kidney to release renin, and that's a pathway. However, we didn't talk about this one here. The low sodium delivered to the distal tubule. That's what we are going to talk about today, and that's what's happening here. When the sodium level is low in the tubule, go through this macula densa. Macula densa can detect it, and that can also trigger the kidney to release renin and to trigger this pathway. So let's take another look at this process. So basically, this is what we were talking about. The nephron, we have the renal corpuscle, the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and then come back here. This portion is the distal, but in the very beginning of the distal, we have the cells. If we get a cross section to see this cross section of this distal convoluted tubule, the early segment of this distal convoluted tubule, as well as the glomerular Bowman space, the renal corpuscle. If we get the transection view here, we take a look at the transection of the tubule and also two of these arterioles. We see a picture like this one here. So here is the cross section of the macula densa. And you can see that it's single layer of the tubule. We have these epithelium cells like every other portion of the nephron. But here we have some like specialized epithelium cells. They are sensitive to the sodium. So when here in the macula densa, if the sodium is low, then it will release signal to the neighboring arteriole, and that will trigger these cells. This is the juxtaglomerular cells to release renin. Then the renin will be released into the artery, and then follow along, renin will convert angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1, angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, angiotensin 2 then increase blood pressure. So that is what's going on here. So this is this feedback. This feedback pathway is also called tubular glomerular feedback. This term refers to how this tubule provide a checkpoint, and they will send signal of the low sodium level as a signal back to glomerula to make an adjustment. If this sodium level is too low, it will think that the GFR is too low. We need to increase the GFR a little bit, and then it will tell by doing so, it will trigger the RAAS to cause the high blood pressure. So here, so if the renal flow, if this flow is low, and sodium level is low, so renal blood flow is low. Basically, the pressure is low, and GFR is low, and then it will trigger the low sodium. The low sodium in the distal will be picked up by the macula densa, and that will cause the RAS to increase the blood pressure, and then that can increase the filtration pressure and to increase GFR. So that way we can kind of adjust the filtration rate back to maintain a certain level. So have that in mind. I want to explain something that's probably you heard about it many times, but you probably didn't know why is that. We are going to talk about something called the protein diet. And this, I'm not so sure that if you guys are exercising this protein diet or not. But like a couple years ago, this was a very popular idea. This idea is very popular, that the basic idea, the concept is that people want to lose weight. In our society, I cannot see you guys. I don't know that you guys are in a good shape, or obesity or overweight. But in general, here in America, that people we have a good portion of people either overweight or obesity. I remember the number I saw was like a third overweight, another a third obesity. So about 2/3 of the population, adults here, are overweight. And so the idea is to use exercise is too tiring, and actually exercise, if we are thinking about reduce weight by doing exercise, the effect is not very good. A better way is to control diet. So there was the idea that maybe we need to reduce the reduce the intake of the carbohydrates, and that's good. You know, in a very earlier, like 10, some 10 years ago, people pay attention on the lipid, so we kind of cut lipid, but later we realized that not all the lipid is bad, and actually some lipids are very essential. And then besides, people still gain weight. And so people start to get the idea that, okay, lipid is not actually the culprit. The real another major like enemy here is that we drink too much of the sugar water. So the idea is to cut the carbohydrates. So the idea is here is to take another approach, that is the high protein diet. Okay. And even like a ketone diet, right? In some literature, they say it's good for the diabetes. It's good approach to regulate, to control, to manage the diabetes. So this is okay. I would say in 99, even 100% of you guys, if we practice this high protein diet, will be okay. But you need to keep in mind that this is not, you know, any like extreme diet would may have the chance to cause some adverse effects to the human body. And one of it with the high protein diet is the concern with the kidney. Okay, so if the patient has kidney disease, chronic kidney disease, we don't want to like add more works to the kidney because kidney is already working a lot. Kidney is one of the regions that require a lot of blood flow, require a lot of oxygen and energy. While we're doing so, we actually produce a lot of the oxidative stress to the kidney. So for the kidney, which is already kind of vulnerable, we need to be a little bit careful. And high protein diet can lead to the increase of the filtration rate. It can cause the glomerular hyperfiltration, and that can add more work to the kidney, which can be a problem, which is not a problem to most of you guys, but could be the problem for to the patients with chronic kidney disease. Okay, so we know you probably know this, and here why is that? Since we are learning about the kidney, let's answer this question. Why is that? So the reason is that when we take the high protein diet, our body will digest it, and then protein is a polymer of the amino acids. So our body, through this digestion system, we basically will break it down, and we will have small peptides and the amino acids to be reabsorbed back to our body. So when our intestine absorb this molecule, we basically absorb them in a small molecule form. So the protein will be breaking down, and the one we absorbed are the amino acids. When these amino acids in the blood, when we absorb it, they go into the capillary, floating around in the blood. When they are in the blood, they have high chance to go through the kidney, because kidney filter the blood 60 times a day. So a lot of these amino acids will go through the filtration. They are small, and they will be reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, so here is the figure showing you how our nephron handle the amino acids. You can see that about 100% remain in the proximal convoluted tubule, and then about 99% reabsorb in the early segment, and maybe almost there's one remaining. So not like totally, but close, 100%. When we reabsorbed, when we have increased amount of amino acids here, we reabsorb them all. And then what happens is that when we reabsorb amino acids, this amino acid reabsorption is produced by co-transport with sodium reabsorbed. So when we reabsorb amino acids, we basically also reabsorbed more sodium. And that caused the situation that while we have reabsorbed all these large amount of amino acids, we also reabsorb a large amount of sodium. And that makes the sodium amount in the tubule become lower. It will reduce the amount of sodium in the tubule. And this reduced amount of sodium in the tubule flow up here to the macula densa, will tell the macula densa that this sodium is way too low. And the response to it is to trigger the RAAS, and that consequence is to increase GFR. So that's why that's the high protein diet will eventually, give it time, it will eventually gradually increase the GFR. And when we increase GFR, we increase works in the nephron, and which would be okay for most of us, but it will become a concern to the patient with chronic kidney disease. So that's the protein. And a lot of you guys probably can also notice that not just amino acids reabsorption, the glucose reabsorption is also a sodium co-transport process. So for the diabetes patient, for the high patient with a high or person with high blood glucose, we reabsorb a lot of glucose back to our body, reach up to the maximal level, and that can also cause the similar effects that we absorbed a little more sodium, less sodium remain in the tubule, and detect by the macula densa to increase GFR. So that is the regularly glucose doesn't really cause that problem. It's because that our body adjusts the plasma glucose level very fast. So glucose will be regulated before they go into the kidney. When our plasma glucose level increase, in about 5 minutes, our insulin level will increase and will pump all this glucose into our cells. So this glucose to us is like cash. So when we see the cash on the floor, we basically pick it up, right? So glucose are important to cells because glucose immediately is the source of the fuel to provide cells to work. So just in healthy situation that cells will very quickly absorb. So the high blood glucose level has not been, it's not like as prominent as the high protein diet to cause the high GFR, because this glucose, they don't stay high in the blood for a long time. They very quickly got reabsorbed back to our cells because we have the insulin response to it. All right, so that's the distal portion, distal convoluted tubule. The very beginning, is the maculodensa. And what's else? So in addition to it, next to the maculodensa, this portion, these distal convoluted tubule, their function is to reabsorb additional sodium chloride. This portion is, as I mentioned before, after this turning point of the loop of Henle, this portion basically is water impermeable. And so this portion is diluting segment of the nephron, and following that, this is still water impermeable. Then what's the function here? The function here is to reabsorb sodium chloride, and here is the channel. So in the tubular side, in the luminal side, we have this channel called sodium chloride co-transporter. So that will reabsorb. Here in the basolateral side, we have the sodium potassium ATPase, and that create the low sodium concentration inside of the cells, and that provide the force for sodium move from the tubule to the cell and pump back to our body. And when you pump back, it also carry the chloride with it. So this is the channel in the distal convoluted tubule. And this one you need to memorize it. Basically, so far we talk about two sodium channel. In the loop of Henle, we have the sodium 2-chloride potassium channel, and here we have the sodium chloride channel co-transporter. In the loop of Henle, the diuretics, the loop diuretics block the sodium 2-chloride potassium channel, and that is a powerful loop diuretics to help our body. When we block that channel, when we block any of this sodium channel in the nephron, we basically increase the urination. And that's the drug we use to remove the excess body fluid. And because in patients with hypertension or body edema, we need to use this mechanism to remove the extra fluid. So these two channels we have mentioned about, and you will see it in the quiz, okay? In the loop Henle, which is a channel to transport, to reabsorb the sodium. In the distal convoluted tubule, what is the channel? What is the channel to reabsorb the sodium? In the distal, this is the sodium chloride co-transport. So this one summarized the this figure summarize the sodium reabsorption in our body, right? So here is the in the proximal convoluted tubule, we absorb about 2/3 of the sodium. This sodium reabsorption is co-transport. Most of them are co-transport with organic molecules, glucose, amino acids, and in the basolateral side, it's always sodium, potassium, ATPase. In the luminal sites, here we have they are the when they reabsorb, they basically work with. We also in the same time we reabsorb this good, usable stuff back to our body. Here we also have the exchanger with the hydrogen, and the purpose here is to reabsorb the bicarbonate. We secrete hydrogen, as an exchange we reabsorb bicarbonate. So that's the proximal. In the loop Henle, we have the sodium 2-chloride potassium channel, and this one can be blocked by the loop diuretics. You don't need to worry about this term, this drug name, but loop diuretics acts on this channel to block it. And this is channel in the loop diuretics to absorb sodium. Now in the distal, we have the sodium chloride co-transporter. And so here we reabsorb about 2/3 up to about 70%. In the loop handy, we reabsorbed about 25% of the salt. Then here in the distal, we reabsorb about 5% of the salt. And that's also a channel can be used as a target for diuretics. And this one is not as powerful as the loop handy because this one only block the absorption of sodium for 5%. But this was the first, the beginning of the researchers to think about using this nephron as a way to control our body's fluid. We have so many different channels here, and they all serve a good opportunity for us to intervene the disease process. So the drug to block the sodium chloride co-transporter is called thiazide. This one you need to memorize it. Well, I didn't ask you to memorize the drug name on the other one, but this one you need to, because this is very, very common. This is the oldest drug to target the nephron channels to cause the diuretics. And so far, thiazide is so popular in the world. It's among others, the cheapest drug for hypertension in the most countries. So that's very common, very popular thiazide. And the function is to reabsorb, to block the sodium chloride channel, and that way we have less sodium coming to the body, and by blocking the sodium reabsorption, we basically reduce the water reabsorption. And when we have less fluid, we have less venous return, we have less stroke volume, we have less cardiac output. CO times TPR is the blood pressure. We can reduce blood pressure. So that's the thiazide. So quiz question would be, which is the target of the thiazide to provide the diuretics? You need to choose this channel, sodium chloride co-transporter. If I ask you in the location, you need to choose this is located in the distal convoluted tubule. Okay, so it acts on the distal convoluted tubule, and it acts on blocking the sodium chloride co-transporter. So that's these drugs. And later, gradually, we realized that this drug is not an ideal one, because this drug, when patient need to control hypertension, they basically will take this medicine constantly, daily, maybe, to maintain the blood pressure. However, any side effect, even though in the beginning may not seem to be critical, give it time, it will become very, very critical. And the side effect of the thiazide is the hypokalemia. Okay, so that's the side effect. You also need to know that too. I mean, the side effect is the hypokalemia. So why is that? Why is the thiazide blocking the sodium chloride co-transporter can cause hypokalemia? Hypokalemia means the low potassium in the body. And in the very beginning of the cell physiology that we talked about, that potassium is abundant inside of the cell. So if the potassium is low, the potassium in the cell is low, and the cell will become hyperpolarized, meaning that the potassium is positive charged ion, And in the cell, if they leave, if they are low, because the body has low potassium, they will leak out, and that will make the memory potential to be even lower. And then the cells will be more difficult to be excited. So why is that? Why is the thiazide lead to the hypokalemia? That's because that here is where we have this sodium reabsorption in the distal convoluted tubule. But very quickly, the next segment is the collecting tubule and the collecting ducts. Here in this tubule, we have the cell which can work on the, here in the collecting tubule, we have the cells in the epithelium cells, we have in the tubular sides, we have the channel, we have two very important channels called the ENaX, the epithelial sodium channel ENaX right here, as well as the potassium channel, the renal outer medulla potassium channel, RMK. So these two, sodium will reabsorbed, and here on the basolateral side, we have sodium potassium ATPase. So sodium coming in, sodium will be pumped back to our cell, our body. In the same time, potassium pump into the cell, and the potassium will leak out through this RMK. When we block the thiazide, when we block the sodium chloride co-transporter using the thiazide, this sodium remain in the urine will flow down to the collecting tubule. When they flow down here, they will have higher chance to pump back. And here, ENaC, the activity of ENaC will increase because here we have this sodium supposed to be reabsorbed in the distal portion, the earlier segment, but it's not. And they flow down here, and then they will see this ENaC. ENaC will transport them into the body. When they transport them into the body, the cell will realize that, oh, we have a lot of sodium here. We need to increase the activity of the sodium potassium ATPase. And that will increase the activity here. By doing so, it will pump more potassium here. When they pump more potassium here, there will be more potassium leaking out. So that when we have more potassium leaking out, our body lose potassium, and gradually we will develop this hypokalemia. So that's why. So in summary, let's summarize it here. If we block the sodium reabsorption in the distal convoluted tubule using the thiazide, then this sodium will remain in the tubule, and then it will flow to the collecting tubule and the collecting ducts. When they flow through it, it will increase the activity of the ENaC, and that will lead to a chain reaction that it will cause more sodium coming into the cell, increase the activity of the sodium potassium ATPase, pump more potassium into the cell, causing more potassium leak into the urine. So then we will have the hypokalemia. So that's why. And you may ask, what is the sign, what is the symptom of the hypokalemia? So what's gonna happen? As I mentioned earlier, that potassium is important, as we already know that it's abundant inside of the cell. So, so when our body lose potassium, the interstitium has low potassium. When it's low potassium, cell will lose more potassium into the interstitium. So basically, cell will follow that concentration gradient and leak out more potassium. When cell lose the potassium ions are positive charge ion. So cell will develop, the membrane potential will decrease, develop this hyperpolarization. And when the cell has lower membrane potential, decreased membrane potential, it becomes harder for us to generate an action potential. It's harder to increase it to become above the threshold to trigger an action potential. So this could be the issue, especially, in the muscle, you probably won't feel it because say you sit whole day, you probably won't really feel it. But it will affect your heart more, noticeable. That patient will feel like weak is because that muscle weakness as well as the circulation weakness, that the heart muscle has to be excited to provide this contraction to pump the blood out. But all the cells will have lower membrane potential due to the lack of the potassium. It will become more difficult to deliver this rhythmic impulse throughout the entire heart to generate the contraction. So the heart will become weak and the patient will feel weak or tiring or fatigue. That's the side effect by taking these thiazide diuretics. So that's that. And then what's next? The next is this collecting tubule and the collecting ducts. So we talk about this distal, then we are going to finish it up with this collecting tubule and the collecting ducts. This region has two types of cells. One is called principal cells, and the other one is called intercalated cells. These cells are specialized epithelium cells in the tubular wall. So the principal cells function, basically we kind of mentioned about it. Its function is to reabsorb the potassium, reabsorb the sodium and the water, as well as secrete. So this one secrete potassium. Intercalated cells are a group of cells used to regulate our pH level. They can adjust the secretion of the hydrogen in order to, because this is the very end portion of our nephron, and if our body need to secrete more hydrogen, this is the region that we will trigger it to secrete more hydrogen. If not, we will reduce the secretion of the hydrogen. So intercalated is are the cells to, the final step to make the correction of the pH level in the urine. So that's that one. So let's look at the principal cells. So we saw this again. We saw this before. This is the principal cells. They have 3 channels. In the luminal side, we have the ENaC, the epithelium sodium channel, as well as RMK, the potassium channel. And so as you can see here, we secrete potassium into the tubule, and we reabsorb the sodium back to our body. In the basolateral side, we have this sodium potassium ATPase. So basically, this is a function that's running in the principal cell. And this principal cell, this function can be enhanced by a hormone called aldosterone. So aldosterone, we mentioned about it in the RAAS pathway. So the renin-angiotensin, angiotensin 2 can trigger the release of the aldosterone. And here is where aldosterone acts on. They acts on the principal cells in the collecting tubule and the collecting ducts. Here is the mineralocortical receptor, because aldosterone is a mineralocortical hormone. And that can, when it's activated, it will cause gene expression to secrete, to translate this protein to produce more of this transmembrane protein, including ENaC, including RMK, and ATPase. And so aldosterone, the consequence is that aldosterone will enhance the sodium reabsorption and to enhance the potassium secretion. So you probably want to bold these two, like a phrase here: sodium reabsorption and potassium secretion. That is the consequence of the aldosterone. Just a little bit overview on what is aldosterone. Aldosterone are the hormone. It's a steroid hormone. It's secreted from the adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex has 3 layers: GFR from the outer to the inner, and the aldosterone is secreted from the very outer segments of this glomerular cortex. This is also called mineralocorticoid. So the receptor is called mineralocorticoid receptor, and their function is to act on the principal cell to regulate body sodium, potassium, and that's why it's called mineralocorticoid, because this is the kind of like mineral, and it's not just regulated sodium, potassium. It's in fact reabsorb sodium. They can enhance the reabsorption of the sodium and the secretion of the potassium. So that's the aldosterone. How is aldosterone is regulated in our body? They are regulated in our body through 2 pathways. The first one we talk about is the RAS, right? Renin-angiotensin, angiotensin 2 acts on the adrenal cortex to enhance the production of the aldosterone. Another pathway is the ACTH. So it's an adrenocorticotropic hormone released from the pituitary. So here is the hypothalamus secretes hormone and CRH to act on the anterior pituitary in the lower portion of the brain, and that releases the ACTH to act on the adrenal cortex. We will talk about this pathway very soon, that in the endocrine system. So if you don't, so we learn it now, and then we will learn it again. So from the and that will act on the adrenal cortex to cause it to secrete aldosterone. So aldosterone can be secreted, can be released, enhanced, and can be triggered to be released through these 2 parallel process pathway. So that is the aldosterone. And here with this principal cell, we want to talk about this, the last but not least, uh, diuretics. This is called potassium sparing diuretics. The idea is that, okay, we find all these different targets to block them and to prevent the sodium reabsorption in order to cause the diuretics, to cause the diuretic means like urine will go through, right? So we look through all these different channels, and thiazide is the first one, loop diuretics was the second one, and they are not perfect. Like one side effect is the hypokalemia. So we want to find a drug that can regulate our body fluid while not causing the hypokalemia. And the way to do it is to have the drug to act on it here. So when the drug acts on the principal cell, we basically can prevent the sodium reabsorption we can prevent the sodium reabsorption as well as the potassium secretion. And that way, we prevent the hypokalemia. And so this drug is also called potassium sparing diuretics. There are two types of the drug to act on that. One is called mineralocorticoid receptor antagonist. We block this receptor, so aldosterone cannot act on it. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is ENaC blocker. We block this ENaC transporter. When it's blocked, it's not reabsorbed. When it's not reabsorbed, it basically slows down this chain reaction. So the sodium potassium pump is not going to work as hard, and the potassium secretion will not be secreted as much. So this is a good target to block the sodium reabsorption while we can prevent the potassium secretion, and that drug can be served as the potassium sparing diuretics. So now we have these three diuretic drugs. One is the loop diuretic, the other one is thiazide, acts on the sodium chloride co-transporter, and this is the third one, the potassium sparing diuretics. All right. In the very end, I'm going to talk about two concepts related, but two concepts. One is the water, and I think the very last one is about urea. So this one is water. So water reabsorption, as we mentioned earlier, that water reabsorbed about 2/3 are in the proximal convoluted tubule, and then water flow to the loop appendage and get reabsorbed a lot because of the environment is so salty. You can see that the environment has high osmolarity in the medulla. However, after the loop appendage halfway through, the remaining portion is basically water impermeable. So here you can see that this portion is water permeable, but the remaining portion is water impermeable. That water will stay in the tubule and get pee out. And that is usually the situation if the person does not produce the ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Diuretic is urine go through, anti means not, so anti-diuretic is urine is not going through, means that water will get reabsorbed. Without ADH though, if we don't have any ADH effects on this, we will see that the water remain And while water remains throughout this segment, sodium keep being reabsorbed. So the urine will stay here, be diluted. This is diluting segment of the urine. And then here is diluting even more. And then in the urine, we see it's very light, about 60 milliosmol. Compared to the original one, in the plasma, it's 300 milliosmol. So here it's very diluted. And because we didn't reabsorb them back, the person will going to be peeing a lot, okay? If we don't reabsorb them here, or anywhere here. So that is the water without ADH. What if, not if, in general, people do have ADH. Our ADH actually is secreted all the time. It's just level can be high or can be low, but we have the ADH exon in it all the time. The left side is a figure I just show you, that's the one without ADH. And in the right is one with ADH. So you can see that the major difference is in this collecting tubule and the collecting ducts. We increase a lot of AQP, it's called aquaporin channel, to 3 here. So, and to 4 here. So we increase this water channel, aquaporin, water, aqua, right? Porin, like pour. So water channel, we increase a lot of water channel here. And that give the opportunity that because the environment is so salty, right? This is medulla. And that generate this osmotic pressure to drive the water back to our body. And that reabsorb a lot of fluid. So with the ADH, it acts on this collecting tubule and the collecting ducts to increase aquaporin channel to reabsorb a lot of water. Now you can see that the concentration of the urine is almost equivalent to the medulla, is about 1200 milliosmol. And the amount of urine can be largely reduced. So by doing so, we are not wasting the water. Water is very important. We need water to dissolve these metabolic waste products. We have several chemicals. That's the metabolic waste products. But we don't want to lose too much water. So here we reabsorb this pure water back to our body. Without ADH, the urine is very light, and the patient will pee a lot because urine is not reabsorbed. With the ADH, we can preserve the water, and the urine has high concentration. Basically, here is to have this concentration to kind of like still be able to dissolve all these metabolic waste products and to kind of remove them from our body. And so that's the function of ADH, to open the aquaporin channel to reabsorb water. So that's the water portion. And that leads to a disease called diabetes insipidus. So we kind of talk about these two diabetes. One is called diabetes mellitus, that is the hyperglycemia, urine contain glucose. This one is when the patient's lack of ADH, he or she will pee a lot, and that is the diabetes insipidus. And this is a question, you will see it, that what is related to diabetes insipidus, like what's the cause, right? The low ADH, high ADH, low aldosterone, high aldosterone, low thyroid hormone, high thyroid hormone, something like that. And then you need to choose the correct answer. Here is the low or even none, like ADH. Low ADH can have this diabetic insipidus. ADH opens the water channel, aquaporin channel in the collecting tubule and the collecting ducts to reabsorb water. So that's water, easy, done. All right, ADH secretion. So what regulates it? Okay, what regulates the ADH secretion? ADH is secreted. You need the word secreted. It's secreted in the posterior pituitary gland, and its release are regulated by two mechanisms. One is the in the hypothalamus, we have this sensor to detect blood osmolarity. If our blood is high osmolarity, meaning that it's very thick, like blood is very thick, has low water content, or if the body lose the water, say if you are walking on the desert, you sweat a lot, you lose a lot of fluid, and then your blood will be very kind of like thick, and that hyperosmolarity will trigger this osmoreceptor in the hypothalamus, and that can trigger the release of ADH. So since your body fluid is apparently too low, we need to preserve more water. ADH will work on it, opens the water channel so water can flow back to our body. What else can regulate the ADH? The other one is the RAAS. As I mentioned before, the renin, angiotensin 2, aldosterone, as well as ADH. So renin, angiotensin 2 can trigger the release of ADH. So that's these two pathways. Just to give you a visual idea, where is that? The ADH is released from the pituitary gland. In the pituitary gland, we have the anterior and the posterior. Posterior basically release two major hormones. One is the ADH, the other one is oxytocin. We're not talking about this one here, but in the next chapter, we will talk about it in the endocrine system. And here, basically, they directly connect with the hypothalamus. And in the hypothalamus, if the hypothalamus detect blood has high osmolarity, it will tell the ADH to produce more, and the ADH will flow down here to be released in the posterior pituitary gland. So in the hypothalamus, we have the osmoreceptor. This one constantly, it tries to maintain our body homeostasis, that our blood always remain in a good level of this concentration. It's about like 300 milliosmol. And if it's too high, then it means that our fluid is low. And that will cause two things. One is to trigger the release of ADH. ADH then acts on the collecting tubule, collecting ducts, opens up the water channel, water get reabsorbed. So we get some water here from our urine. Okay, it's not drinking your urine. Okay, it's our body can open the water channel, so we take back the urine that we need. Okay, so this pure water is not drinking urine. Okay, so that's ADH acts on the collecting tubule, collecting ducts. Additionally, it will, because it's in the brain, it will give you the idea about thirst. It will trigger your desire to drink water. So you will go out because your blood is thick, your osmoreceptor detect it, and then you feel like, oh, I'm so thirsty. And then you go to the store, and what you do? If you buy bottled water, I congratulate you. You did the right thing. But a lot of time we go to a store, we feel thirsty, we buy like juice, we buy beer, we buy coffee, right? We buy something, it's not pure water, and then we take it. And actually those are not pure water. They are not going to dilute our blood. They will make the body fluid. They are not going to make it easier, right? They will not reduce the osmolarity in the plasma, in the blood. And ideally, if we drink water, we can correct that hyperosmolarity in the blood. But if we drink alcohol or juice or sugar water, etc., we actually didn't help it. And we will remain, the osmoreceptor will continue send signal to the brain, say, you are thirsty, you need to drink some water, but you drink it and you probably feel cold in the beginning, but you didn't really solve the problem. So you drink more, and this is not good, okay? When we drink more, we actually add more fluid back to our body, increase that osmolarity, and that extra fluid in the body can become part of the fluid in the plasma, increase the venous return, increase stroke volume, increase cardiac output, increase blood pressure. So gradually our body kind of adjusts to it, say, okay, maybe that's okay, then our blood pressure gradually increase. So it's not good. Okay, if you are thirsty, drink water and don't even go to the store. Just get a water fountain. It's free. It's healthy. Why not doing it? So that's the ADH. Okay, here's probably the last one, I hope. That ADH it will act on the collecting tubule, collecting ducts, and that will open the water channel. ADH is also called arginine vasopressin, AVP. AVP acts on the V2 receptor in the basolateral side, and then it will move this water channel to the cell membrane, opens up this channel. Water will then have this channel to diffuse across. And because body has high osmolarity, here is in the medulla, so water will pool from the urine back to our body. So that way we can reabsorb the water. But you need to memorize it. You just need to memorize. You don't need to memorize that V2 receptor, AQP2, AQP3, 4 is tedious, but you need to memorize. What you need to memorize is that it's nice to be and memorize it. I don't want to give you the impression that they are not important. All right, so ADH increased the water reabsorption, open the water channel, and then water get reabsorbed. And that can allow us to preserve fluid back to our body. So that is the water. Is that it? Yes, good. Now the last topic, the very last one, is about urea. And this is important. It looks kind of odd in the nephron system in the way that it's unique. Let's take a look. So in this collecting tubule, collecting ducts, in addition to what we mentioned, basically, what did we mention? We basically mentioned sodium, right? Sodium reabsorption, potassium secretion, that is regulated by aldosterone. We also mentioned about the aquaporin that is regulated by the ADH. And the third one we are going to talk about is the urea. Urea here in the collecting tubular collecting ducts, we reabsorb them. You may ask, urea, isn't it the metabolic waste products? Yes, it is. So we basically it's called recycling, right? Like it's waste, but it has some usability. And so we use it, our body use it. We reabsorb them back to our body. For what? In fact, we are not going to really use it per se. However, by taking it back to our body, it can increase the osmolarity in the interstitium. And this is a region of the medulla. We want to, the higher osmolarity, the better it is to serve its function. So the medulla, we already know that we reabsorb a lot of salt here, so it's very salty. Now we learn that it's not only salt, it also has the urea. So urea got reabsorbed back. Then you may ask, where do we get this urea? We pee it out, right? So urea is here. In addition to that, remember in the loop of Henle, in the ascending limb, sorry, in the descending limb that it live, in the descending limb, it basically do two things. One is reabsorb water, and what's the next one? Secrete urea. So here we secrete urea. So in the descending limb, urea is secreted through this UTA2 channel into the loop of Henle. We didn't really talk about this vista recta. This is the blood flow. Just make it simpler because nephron system, in fact, is very big, but due to the lack of time, we will focus on something more tangible, right? Don't make it too complicated, okay? But urea is important. Urea is important in a way that it's a way to maintain the medulla osmolarity. So here in the descending limb of the nephron, we secrete, we pull this urea back to the urine. And then here in the collecting tubule, we reabsorb it back. So basically here, this one is summarized of what we are doing with the urea in the descending limb. Here is the loop. This is a nephron, the descending limb. We pour this urea into the tubule, and when it flows down here, we reabsorb it back. We secrete it in the loop Henle through the UTA2 channel. In the collecting tubule, collecting ducts, we reabsorb them using the UTA1 and UTA3. We reabsorb them back. And then that way we can use it to increase the osmolarity in the inner medulla, and the additional one will be secreted back to the tubule, and we can use it here again. So basically we reabsorb it back, then we dump them back to the tubule again, and then the flow down here, reabsorb them back. So that way we can kind of recycle. We have the last purpose of this urea before we pee it out. We kind of use their last value to maintain the high osmolarity in the inner medulla. So this is the urea handling in the kidney, and you can see that urea here, we filter some through here, but we need some urea to maintain the osmolarity in the inner medulla. So in the descending limb, we secrete some more here. and that urea will then flow down here, and here will be reabsorbed back. And by reabsorbing it back, we can increase the osmolarity. We add more solutes to it. They will add to the environment to make it very thick, very high osmolarity. And then some of it will also be secreted back to the urea and be used again. So this one kind of showing you the urea recycling in the nephron. And that summarizes it here that in the collecting tubule, collecting ducts, we do several things. We do basically 3 things. One is sodium reabsorption and the potassium secretion. That portion is regulated by the aldosterone. The second thing is water reabsorption. The water reabsorption basically is by the ADH. It opens the aquaporin channel. However, when we open the aquaporin channel, water can diffuse to either way, right? It can diffuse into the tubule or it can diffuse back to our body. The reason that it diffuses back to our body that we reabsorb then is that here it is the environment that is high osmolarity, that is the inner medulla. So that leads to the third function of the collecting tubule, collecting ducts. That is, how can we generate that high osmolarity in the inner medulla? In addition to the salt that we constantly reabsorb them back to our body. In addition to that, here in the collecting tubule, collecting ducts, they also reabsorb urea. Urea supposed to be a metabolic waste product, but here we can use it to increase the amount, the solutes in the interstitium, and that can make the osmolarity even higher in the inner medulla. So that one summarizes it, and this one also summarizes the entire urinary system. Okay, so thank you so much, and I will be working on the next one then. Any questions? All right, yeah. Let me see.